Good morning, everyone, and welcome back. I'm Errol Barnett as we both take a live look at the White House this morning after a third attempt on the president's life leaves Washington reeling. And that is where we begin our top stories this Monday morning. Gunfire rang out Saturday night at the annual White House Correspondents Dinner. The suspected shooter had raced past the security checkpoint, exchanging fire with Secret Service and injuring one of them before he was tackled. The event was full of top Trump administration officials and journalists. Also seated on stage was White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, First Lady Melania Trump, and Vice President J.D. Vance. Secret Service escorted them quickly to safety. The suspect has been identified as 31-year-old Cole Allen from Torrance, California. He is due in federal court today. Officials say Allen sent a message to his family right before the incident detailing his plan to target administration officials. His brother reportedly alerted police in Connecticut before the incident. Our Norah O'Donnell was also in the ballroom when the shooting took place. She spoke with the president about the security breach in an exclusive interview for 60 Minutes.
It looked chaotic. At one point, you were down. What was happening?
Well, what happened is it was a little bit me. I wanted to see what was happening, and I wasn't making it that easy for him. I wanted to see what was going on. And by that time, we started to realize maybe it was a bad problem, different kind of a problem, bad one, and different than what would be normal noise from a ballroom, which you hear all the time. And I was surrounded by great people, and I probably made them act a little bit more slowly. I said, wait a minute, let me see, wait a minute. So, I'm telling guys.
Just at that moment where it looks like you go sort of down with the service, you were telling them to wait?
Well, no, what happened is then I started walking with them. I started walking, and they said, please go down on the floor. So I went down, and First Lady went down also, but we were asked to go down by the agents as I was walking. In other words,
they wanted you almost to crawl.
I was standing up, pretty much. I was standing up and then turned around the opposite direction and started pretty much walking out, pretty tall, a little bent over because I'm not looking to be standing too tall. And but I was walking out. It was about halfway there, and they said, please go down to the floor, please go down to the floor. So I dropped to the floor, so did the First Lady.
What was your thought at that moment? What did the First Lady say?
Well, my thought was, I've been through this before a couple of times, and she has not to this extent. She handled it great. I mean, she's very strong, smart. She got it. She knew what was happening.
The so-called manifesto is a stunning thing to read, Mr. President. He appears to reference a motive in it. He writes this, quote, administration officials, they are targets. And he also wrote this, I am no longer willing to permit a pedophile, rapist, and traitor to coat my hands with his crimes. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I was waiting for you to read that because I knew you would, because you're horrible people, horrible people. Yeah, he did write that. I'm not a rapist. I didn't rape anybody.
Do you think he was referring to you?
Excuse me. I'm not a pedophile. You read that crap from some sick person. I got associated with all stuff that has nothing to do with me. I was totally exonerated. Your friends on the other side of the plate are the ones that were involved with, let's say, Epstein or other things. But I said to myself, I'll do this interview, and I read the manifesto. He's a sick person. But you should be ashamed of yourself reading that, because I'm not any of those things.
Mr. President,
and
these are the gunman's words.
Excuse me. You shouldn't be reading that on 60 Minutes. You're a disgrace. But go ahead. Let's finish the interview.
CBS News senior correspondent and 60 Minutes contributing correspondent Norah O'Donnell joins us now with more. Norah, good morning to you. What did you make of the president's reaction to your questions about the basic facts?
Yeah, Errol, I mean, the president's answers and this interview were certainly newsworthy. Within the first minute of our conversation, he brought up the manifesto. And that's important because we're looking at that in terms of why this happened, a potential motive. what motivated this alleged gunman. And there's a larger question going on here, too, which we were trying to get to. Not only sort of what happened in talking to the president that night, but also rising political violence in America and extremism and what's behind that. You know, the gunman, the alleged gunman, signs that so-called manifesto, friendly federal assassin. And he was targeting, as he said in that note, both high and low-ranking administration officials. So these are important questions. This is why we at 60 Minutes and CBS News, that immediately after this attack, began emailing and texting the White House requesting an interview like this, because there are so many questions to ask the President of the United States, and he has been briefed, of course, by top law enforcement officials. The other really interesting thing, Errol, too, I think, as we talk about the state of America and this rising extremism and political violence, is now these unfounded theories that are circulating widely online that this attack was staged. And I asked the president about that as well. Take a listen.
I hesitate to ask you about this, but as you know, these conspiracy theories out there on the left and the right, that the event was staged or that it didn't happen.
Last night didn't happen?
That it was because it was your first time there, or that Butler didn't happen. These conspiracy theories that are gaining traction on the internet.
And October 7th didn't happen, and World War II didn't happen, and the Holocaust didn't happen, and many things didn't happen. Yeah, no, I hear it. I don't know. I think they're more sick than they are con people, but there's a lot of con in it too. I haven't heard that last night didn't happen. Usually it takes a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Usually they wait about 2 or 3 months to start saying that.
And that just tells you, of course, Errol, too, just how much interest there is by the public about this story and what happened and what could have been a third assassination attempt against the President of the United States in less than 2 years. There were so many high-ranking officials there within the line of succession. And I do want to note, too, that the president in our interview gave a special shout-out and praised the White House Correspondents Association president, our colleague, Weijia Jiang, who did such an important job, was part of the reason the president attended this event. This is an event that gives scholarships to budding journalists. The president would have been sitting there listening to a number of awards that would be presented to journalists who had done some tough reporting on this administration. And so, of course, we always want to bring attention to the freedom of the press and the First Amendment and the hard work of the White House Correspondents Association and of all journalists who try and ask tough questions.
And Norah, every time I've attended, it's inspirational. It's a rare moment of the press celebrating journalism with administration officials. And we'll speak to Weijia later this hour about if the event will take place in another 30 days, as the president has suggested. But Norah, doing what we do best, focusing on the news and the stories under intense pressure. Norah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Errol.